Hi, I'm John McLinden, the Chief Executive Officer of the Swan Hill Rural City Council, and thank you for visiting this presentation on the 2020-21 draft budget, which, as you know, is now out for public comment. Council has put together a wide-ranging and quite far-reaching budget this year in what is some quite uncertain times. In the past, it's been our habit to go out amongst the community and make live presentations in person, where we get a mixed response of attendees, but in these COVID-19 times we're doing it online. So I hope that you get the information that you need, and if perchance you don't find out what you would like to know from this presentation, then certainly there's an opportunity to ask questions which we'll cover towards the end. So the Swan Hill Rural City Council's draft budget for next year includes income of $59.1 million. We have an operating expenditure, so that's operating expenditure of $51.2 million, and a very, very healthy capital works budget of $23.6 million. Now, I know those numbers on the surface don't appear to add up, but they do, because a number of the capital works are funded from reserve funds which don't appear as part of our operating expenditure. So all in all, it's about a $60 million a year turnover projected for the coming year. We're in a very healthy financial position, as the slides that you can see on your screen show. We have assets totalling well in excess of $522 million. Our current assets, they're assets that can be quickly converted into cash, sit at almost $23 million, and our current liabilities, monies that we owe or monies that we would need to rather quickly fund expenses, total 14 million. So we're quite liquid. We have funds to meet our immediate debts and significant assets. I want to talk for a moment about the Auditor-General's ratios. Council every year prepares a 4-year financial forecast, and we compare the results against the Victorian Auditor-General's sustainability ratios. We've attained a low risk in many of those ratios, so that is a low risk score, a low financial risk. And for those where we have a moderate risk, we're trending towards low risk. The slide that you'll see in front of you now shows those areas in green identified as low risk, and we've not only got the projected year's budget, but also projected forward for a further 3 years, so a 4-year projection. You can see that our net result is low risk. Our liquidity, we have significant funds available to meet our costs. Our internal financing is a medium risk at present, but you can see from the table going forward that we've also got measures in place to bring that to a low risk. Our indebtedness, very low risk, and also our capital replacement is quite a low risk. The row on the bottom, renewal gap, that refers to our ability to fund the renewal of our infrastructure, particularly road networks and other community infrastructure. Although currently at a low risk, there is some headwinds coming towards us, but again, we're trending towards getting back to low risk, and we've got strategies in place to make sure that this municipality can fund the infrastructure that the community requires and has come to depend upon. Our borrowing costs are quite low. We have quite low debt. In fact, for a business that's turning over $60 million a year, we're projecting that at the end of this budgeted year, our total indebtedness will be $3.7 million, so very low. And on current projections, all borrowings will be paid off within the next 10 years. If we move to where our revenue comes from, our $59.1 million, there's a pie chart that we've prepared. It shows that almost half of our revenue comes from rates and charges, and another 7.8% from user fees. So those two amounts together are almost 60%. We are very heavily reliant on funding ourselves through our own charging processes and from rates from our community. We do, however, get healthy income from grants, both recurrent and capital grants, and in fact just over a third of our monies comes from grants. Typically those grants are from government organisations, either state or federal, and then there's also about $4.3 million of funds from various other sources. So there's quite a variety of locations where our funds come from. We're not tied to one sector alone. Under the state government's Fair Go rate system, there is a rate cap imposed each year, and for the 2021 financial year, the rate cap will be, or has been set at 2%. Council has prepared this draft budget with an average rate rise underneath the cap, an average rate rise of 1.86%. So there are, within the Swan Hill Rural City, a system of differential rates, and Council has over the years developed and tweaked those differentials in an attempt to try and make sure that the burden of rates is spread equitably across those in our community that own land assets. Generally speaking, we have a commercial rate that in the past has been set at a 30% premium, so 30% over and above the general rate. Council is aware that this year the COVID-19 response has caused significant harm to our commercial sector, and whilst some businesses are tracking along pretty well, a large number of our businesses are hurting and have been significantly impacted by the COVID-19 response. In response to that set of circumstances, Council has made some changes to its differential rates, and we have reduced the premium paid by commercial properties down to 12.5% from what has traditionally been a 30% premium. So that will see a significant reduction in the rate burden for many of our commercial properties. Similarly, in the dryland farming area, we've seen significant increases in property values since the last valuation a year ago. Council has a discount in place for dryland farming. Dryland farmers are proportionally very large ratepayers. Typically that differential has been a 20% discount. Council has increased that to a 27.5% discount. So again, we'll see dryland farming properties see a slight reduction on average in the rates paid. If we move to our charges, if we look at our garbage charges, in respect of curbside waste, a 120 litre bin is seeing a $35 increase going up to $335 per year, and for those that have a 240 litre bin, the increase is up $53 to $508 per year. In each of those services, the recycling bin is also included in that charge. In respect of our green waste service, we have over 1,000 people now electing to take a green waste service, and that will remain unchanged at $95. With respect to waste management, there are significant headwinds being faced by the whole of the local government sector in dealing with waste. This has predominantly been brought about because of recycling issues and the difficulty in getting rid of recycling after it's been processed. Basically, in Australia, in fact much of the Western world, but certainly in Australia, the market for recyclable materials has basically just fallen away because a number of countries, and in particular China, have announced that they'll no longer accept our recycling. So we as an industry are scrambling to try and deal with that, but it has resulted in significant cost increases, which until this point in time have been absorbed by Council, but inevitably will need to be passed on to ratepayers. And you'll see in the 2021 budget the beginnings of this. If I move now from garbage and from our income sources to expenditure, our capital works program, as I mentioned earlier, is sitting at $23.6 million in this draft budget, and ongoing services will be racking up expenditure of $40 million. If we examine our capital works proposals for 2021, we're proposing to spend $9.1 million on property. That's generally monies improving and building new properties, but primarily improving. Plant and equipment at $1.7 million. Always the biggest spend in capital works in this municipality will be infrastructure. So infrastructure is slated for $12.6 million of expenditure in the coming year, and $150,000 on culture and heritage assets. Now these are funded by $15 million in rates, almost $8 million of grants, and $300,000 of contributions. We provide in excess of 55 services to our community. Some major service areas include economic development, the livestock exchange, public health and regulatory services. We look after families and children with age and disability services, Meals on Wheels, maternal and child health, libraries, etc. We provide open spaces and recreation areas for our community, including our parks and gardens, our swimming pools, our sporting grounds, and the maintenance and preparation of all of those. We look after and provide public conveniences, public lighting, street tree maintenance, and of course the bread and butter of local government: roads, footpath, drainage and waste management. And there are also the costs of running the organisation in governance, financial and other administrative functions. There is $6.1 million of our capital program in roads and footpath projects, and these include sealed road reconstructions, resealing, shoulders, unsealed gravel road resheets, footpath repairs and renewal, and curb and channel replacements. So if I talk about our capital works briefly, we're proposing significant works at the Swan Hill Aerodrome, and I know in recent times there's been significant discussion in the community about one initiative, which is looking at an international flying school at the aerodrome. There's still much conversation to be had, and in fact a lot of negotiation to be had to see that come to fruition. Council has not at this point in time signed any agreements with anyone in respect of the flying school. That aside, Council does have funds for improvements at the Swan Hill Aerodrome and is committed to making sure that the aerodrome plays its role in making this a more livable city, and the aerodrome has a significant role in improving and servicing the commercial part of our economy. The Tower Hill residential development will continue. Sales there are ticking along quite well, and we're seeing new houses built there every month. So Council has funds available to continue the growth of the Tower Hill development. We're also investing in increasing the housing supply in Robinvale, and Council has committed to construction of 8 new houses. Probably not all 8 in the coming financial year, but 8 new houses on a piece of land being subdivided by Council in Ronald Street, Robinvale. We've funded the construction of the Robinvale netball courts, the Swan Hill Hall Auditorium air conditioning, and major upgrade works in Pritchard Street for the drainage network there. We're continuing to invest in the Swan Hill riverfront, and we will, as we do every year, continue to purchase new books and new resources for our library. There's a few other projects that I think are of interest to our community and worthy of mentioning. One of the most exciting projects for the coming year is a program called Vibrant Villages. This is funded through council resources and also some state government grants, where we'll be doing a number of streetscape works through many of our small towns. For those of you watching who are connected to our small towns, you will be aware of those, but details will flow out in the coming weeks and months. We have municipal elections coming up in October of this year, and Council has to fund the operation of that election, although the election is conducted independently by the Victorian Electoral Commission. We have funds put aside for the Lake Boga equestrian facility development and also maintenance works at the Warraneen netball courts. We continue to invest in our roadside weeds and pests program, the Fairfax Festival, and we'll also be funding Harmony Day in Swan Hill as we do every year. So the budget submission process is now open, and this process is designed to provide the community with the opportunity to provide feedback to Council on the draft budget. Please keep in mind this is a draft budget and we're asking the community for your views. Important dates: Monday the 29th of June at 4 p.m. is when submissions to the draft budget close. Council is unable to consider any submissions that are received after the closing date. So 4 p.m. Monday the 29th of June. On Tuesday the 7th of July at 1 p.m. there will be a special meeting of Council to receive and hear those submissions. If no submissions are received, then Council may at that time proceed to adopt the budget. If, however, there are submissions, then on Tuesday the 14th of July at 1 p.m, Council will consider those submissions at a formal meeting of the Council. And then on Tuesday the 21st of July at 2 p.m, at the ordinary meeting of Council, Council will look to amend or adopt the budget if it has not been able to do so beforehand. So I guess the important date for our community is Monday the 29th of June at 4 p.m. If you wish to make a submission, I would encourage you to do so, but you must have it submitted to us by that time. There is some more detail about our budget online, and if you jump onto our website and follow the links, you will find the draft budget in all its detail. So there's a number of avenues by which you may make submissions or ask questions. If you wish to lodge a submission or ask a question, you can do that online by going to the Swan Hill Council website. The address to lodge those questions or to lodge your submission is swanhill.vic.gov.au/yoursay. Would encourage you to avail yourself of that. Or alternatively, if you wish to ring through our front office number on 5036 2333, our helpful staff will direct you to the right person who will be able to assist you with any basic or simple questions that you may have. If you wish to get into the detail, I'd encourage you to use the Your Say email address. Thank you.